There are two goals of plan change. Firstly is change employee behavior. Secondly is improve the ability of the organization to adapt to changes in its environment. What is change? Change is a making something different. Plan change is a change activities that are intentional and goal-oriented. Change agent is a person who is responsible for managing change activity. They see a future for the organization, have not identified, and be able to motivate, invent, and implement this vision. Change agent can be managers or non-managers, current or new employees. Next is sources of resistance. There are two types of sources of resistance to change. Firstly is individual sources. There are five sources. Firstly, habit. To cope with lies, we rely on habit or program responses. Secondly is security. People with high need for security are likely to resist change because it threatens their feelings of safety. Thirdly is economic factors. Changes in job tasks or established communities can arouse economic fears if people are concerned that they won't be able to perform the new tasks or routine to their previous standard, especially when pay is closely tied to productivity. Next is fear of the unknown. Change substitute ambiguity and uncertainty for the unknown. And lastly, selective information processing. Individuals are capable of selectively processing information in order to keep their perception intact. Second type of sources is organizational sources. Firstly, structural inertia. Organizational have built-in mechanisms such as peer selection, processes, and formalized regulation to produce stability. Secondly, limited focus of change. Organization consists of a number of interdependent subsystems. Thirdly is group inertia. Even if individuals want to change their behavior, group norma may act as the constraint. Next is threat to expertise. Change in organizational patterns may have threatened the expertise of specialist groups. And lastly, threat to established power relationship. Any redistribution of decision-making authority can threaten long-established power relationship with the organization. Overcoming resistance to change. Firstly is communication. Communication is most effective when a company communicates a rationale that balances the interests of various stakeholders. Secondly is participation. It's difficult to resist a change decision in which we have participated. Thirdly is building support and commitment. When managers or employees have low emotional commitment to change, they resist and favor the status quo. Next is develop positive relationship. People are more willing to accept changes if they trust the managers implementing them. Next is implementing changes fairly. One way organization can minimize negative impact is to make sure change is implemented fairly. Next is manipulation and co-optation. Manipulation refers to covert influence attempt. Meanwhile, co-optation, on the other hand, combines manipulation and participation. Next is selecting people who accept change. Teams that are strongly motivated by learning about and mastering tasks are better able to adapt to changing environment. Lastly is coercion, the application of direct threats or force on the resistors.
Doing three-step model. First step is appraising the status quo. Status quo is equilibrium state. So to move from equilibrium to overcome the pressure of both individual and group conformity, appraising must happen in one of three ways. First, driving force, the direct behavior away from the status quo. Second, restraining force, that hiding movement from the exciting equilibrium. So, alternative 3 is to combine the first one and to a push. And next step is movement to a desired end state. And the last step is rephrasing that new change to make it permanent. Quarter 8-step plan for implementing change. First one is establish a sense of agency by creating a compelling reason for what change is needed. 2. From a coalition with enough power to lead the change. 3. Create a new vision to direct the change and strategy for achieve the vision. 4. Communicate the vision throughout the organization. 5. Empower another to act on the vision by removing barriers to change and encourage risk-taking and creative problem-solving. 6. Plan for create, reward short-term win, then move the organization toward the new vision. 7. Consolidate improvement. recent change and make necessary adjustment in the new program. And 8. Reinforce the change by demonstrate the relationship between new behavior and organization success. Action research is a change process based on the systematic collection of data and selection of change action based on what the analyzed data indicate. We have 5 steps in action research. First one is action research. Change agent ask question, review record, and interview employees, actively listening to their concerns. Next, analyze that the change agent synthesize this information into key concerns, problem area, and possible action. 3 is feedback that requires sharing with employees what has been discovered from the first and second step. 4 is action. So, the employees and change agent carry out specific action they have identified to correct the problem. The final step in line with the scientific basis of action research is the evaluation. So, the evaluation of the effectiveness of the action plan using the initial data collect as a benchmark. Action research provides at least 2 specific benefits. First is focus the problem. Change agent objective look for the problem, and the type of problem determine the type of change action. For example, implementing flex time, team, or process reengineering program, and the find problem that fit the solution. The second benefit of action research is reducing resistance. Because action research involves employees so close in the process, it reduces resistance to change. Organizational development are collection of change methods that try to improve organization effectiveness and employees' well-being. Audit method value human and organization growth, collaboration and participate process, and a spirit of equality. Audit focus on how individuals make sense of their work environment. So, in organization development, we have 6 intervention change agents. The first one is sensitivity training. That means training that seek to change behavior through unstructured group interaction. Next is survey feedback, the use of questionnaire to identify discrepancy between member perception. After that is process consultation. We have to do a meeting in which the consul assign the client in understand that process even in which he must deal and identify process that require improvement. Next, team building, that high interaction among team members to increase trust and openness. In addition is intergroup development, that organization development effort to change the attitude, stereotype, and perception that group have of each other. And the lastly is appreciative inquiry, that approach the aim to identify the unique quality and special strength of organization. I think the culture for change, it is managing a paradox. Paradox is meaning is involves moving from focusing on one goal as a solution as the problems and the other as the solution to valuing the goal. Therefore, managing a paradox, it is learning, organizing, performing, and belonging. The first is learning. Learning is the conflict in organization between the desire to maintain a predictable and stable environment. The second is organizing, offer a theory of the nature and management of competing demands. Performing is organizing, able to maintain control by not knowing what exactly performance is. Belonging is the idea of belonging makes sense only when 2 conditions are fulfilled. Stimulating a culture of innovation. Definition of innovation. We can set things refer to making things different. Innovation is about a more specialized kind of change. It's a new idea applied to innovating or improving a product, process, or services. So all innovations imply change, but not all change necessarily introduce new ideas or lead to significant improvement. Source of innovation. A comprehensive review of the structure-innovation relationship leads to the following. The first is organic structures positively influence innovation because they are lower in vertical differentiation, formalization, and centralization. The second is long tenure in management is associated with innovation. Management tenure ability provides legitimacy and knowledge of how to accomplish tasks and obtain desired outcomes. The third is innovative is great when they are resources. Having an awareness of resources allows an organization to affect to purchase innovation. Or innovative organizations tend to have similar cultures. The first is they encourage experimentation. The second is they reward both successes and fails. And the third is they celebrate mistakes. Unfortunately, in so many organizations, people are rewarded for the absence of fails rather than for the presence of successes. Once a new idea is developed, idea champions actively and enthusiastically promote it. But the characteristic of idea championship is higher self-confidence, persistent energy, and a tendency to take risks. Creating a learning organization. Another way an organization can proactively manage things to make a continuous growth part of its culture. It is to become a learning organization. What's a learning organization? Learning organization has developed the continuous capacity to adapt and change. There have five basic characteristics of learning organization. The first is people put aside their old ways of thinking. The second is learn to be open with each other. The third is understand how their organization really works. The fourth forms a plan or vision everyone can agree on, and the last is and work together to achieve managing learning. What can managers to make their firms learning organizations? Here are some suggestions. The first is establish a strategy. Management needs to make explicit its commitments to change, innovation, and continuous improvement. The second is redesign the organization structure. The former structure can be a serious impediment to learning, flattening the structure, eliminating or combining departments, and increasing the use of cross-functional teams. The third is reshape the organization's culture. To become a learning organization, managers must demonstrate by their action that taking risks and admitting failures are desirable.
The first of five potential sources of stress is environmental. The economy may be in a downturn, creating uncertainty for job future and bank accounts. There may be political unrest or change, creating stress. Technology can cause stress as new developments are constantly making employees' skills obsolete, and workers fear they will be replaced by a machine that can do the same. Secondly, organizational factor. A stressful task demand may be a detailed weekly presentation to the company's senior team. A stressful role demand might be where a person is expected to achieve more in a set amount of time that is possible. The personal demands, these are stresses created by co-workers. Perhaps an employee is experiencing ongoing conflict with a co-worker he or she is expected to collaborate closely with. Personal factor. Individual might experience stressful commute to work or a stressful couple of weeks helping at a work event, but those kinds of temporary individual stress are not what we are looking at here. We are looking for a deeper, longer-term stress. Family problem, issue with children and early parent. These are stressful situations that an employee really can't live at home when he or she comes to work. Economic problems like the inability to pay bills or an unexpected new demand on a person's cash flow might also be an issue that disturbs an employee's time at work. Individual difference. Firstly, perception. This is what moderates the individual's relationship to the stressor. For instance, one person might see a potential layoff as a stressful situation, while another person might see that same layoff as an opportunity for a nice severance package and the opportunity to start a new business. Job experience. Because stress is associated with turnover, it would stand to reason that those employees with a long tenure and the most stress resistant of the bunch. Social support. Co-worker, especially those who are caring or considered to be friends, can help protect a fellow employee against the effects of stress. Lastly, cultural differences. For example, US employees are stressed by a lack of control, whereas Chinese employees are stressed by job evaluation and lack of training. Consequences of stress. Firstly, physiological symptoms. Research supports the link between job stress and poor health. For example, illness and chronic health conditions. Secondly, psychological symptoms. Job dissatisfaction is an obvious cause of stress. Behavioral symptoms. Reductions in productivity, absence, turnover, as well as changes in eating habits, increased smoking and or consumption of alcohol.
Managing stress, because low to moderate level of stress can be functional and lead to higher performance. Management may not be concerned when employees experience stress at these levels. What management may consider to be a positive stimulus that keep the adrenaline running is very likely to be seen as excessive pressure by the employee. Keep this in mind as we discuss individual and organizational approach toward managing stress. First, individual approach. An employee can and should take personal responsibility for reducing stress levels. Individual strategies that have proven effective include time management technique, physical exercise, relaxation technique, and social support network. Second, organizational approach. Several organizational factors that cause stress, particularly task and role demand, are controlled by management and thus can be modified or changed. Strategies to consider include improved employee selection and job placement, training, goal setting, redesign of job, increased organizational communication, employee involvement, employee sabbaticals, and corporate wellness programs. First strategies is selection and placement and training. Certain jobs are more stressful than others, but as we have seen, individuals differ in their response to stressful situations. Selection and placement decisions should take this fact into consideration. Obviously, management should not hire only experienced individuals with an internal locus, but such individuals may adapt better to high-stress jobs and perform those jobs more effectively. Similarly, training can increase an individual's self-efficiency and thus lessen job strain. Next, goal setting. Individuals perform better when they have specific and challenging goals and receive feedback on their progress toward these goals. Goals can reduce stress as well as provide motivation. Employees who are highly committed to see their goals and see purpose in their job experience less stress because they are more likely to perceive stresses as challenges rather than hindrances. Specific goals perceived as attainable clarify performance expectations.
Designing jobs to give employees more responsibility, more meaningful works, more autonomy, and increased feedback that can reduce stress because this factor give employees greater control over work, activity, and lesson depends on others. But as we know in our discussion of work designs, not all employees want entry jobs. The right design for employees with a low need for growth might be less responsibility and increased specialization. If individuals prefer structures and routines, reducing skill variety should also reduce uncertainties and stress levels. Next, employee involvement. Raw stress is detrimental to a large extent because employees feel uncertain about goals, expectations, how they be evaluated, and the like. By giving these employees a voice in decisions that directly affect their job performance, management can increase employee control and reduce raw stress. Thus, managers should consider increasing employee involvement in decision making because evidence clearly shows that increase in employee empowerment reduces psychological strain. Increasing formal organizational communication with employees reduce uncertainty by lessening role ambiguity and role conflicts. Given the importance that perception play in moderating the stress response relationships, management can also use effective communication as a means to share employee perceptions. Remember that what employees categorize as demands, threat, or opportunity at work is an interpretation, and that interpretation can be effects by the symbol and action communicated by management. Lastly, the organizationally support wellness program. This typically provide workshops to help people quit smoking, control alcohol use, lose weight, eat better, and develop a regular exercise program. They focus on the employees' total physical and mental condition. Some helps employees improve their psychological health as well. A meta-analysis of the SIP program designed to reduce stress showed that intervention to help employees reframe stressful situation and use active coping strategies appreciable reduce stress levels. Most wellness program assume employees need to take personal responsibility for their physical and mental health, and that the organization is merely a means to the end.